federal government is stepping in, with the Labour minister saying Canadians are rightly fed up. Steve McKinnon says Canada Post and the union are at an impasse. He's asking the Canadian Industrial Relations Board, if it agrees, to order the two parties to resume work. He says he hopes that can happen next week. The terms of the existing agreements would be extended to May 22nd of next year. During this time, an inquiry into labor relations at Canada Post will get underway. Now, joining me is Jan Simpson. She is the national president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Jan, thank you very much for being here. What is the union's overall reaction to this announcement from the Labour Minister?
The union is disappointed that, again, workers' rights have been taken away from us, and that, Canada Post is going to be able to achieve what they could not achieve through collective bargaining or through an arbitrated process. So we're really disappointed that the minister chose to do this today.
Is it a surprise?
Well, for us, we were at the bargaining table trying to bargain collective agreements, and we thought that the minister understood this. So it's a surprise and it's disappointing as well, because this is exactly what the Conservative governments did before, and now to see the Liberals do the exact same thing, taking away workers' rights to free and fair collective bargaining, is happening too often within Canada under this government and under this minister.
McKinnon said that unions have the right to strike, but does it feel like that right is being taken away?
It's a right to strike until they intervene. It was disappointing to hear him in his press conference not even mention the 55,000 postal workers who are not paid by taxpayers' dollars, but are actually taxpayers within the community. He did not once mention them. That he was asked about compensating the small businesses, those who have had losses. What about the workers? What about the workers who kept this country going through COVID and who we saw others tried to replace us during our strike, and they could not do this?
We heard McKinnon say that talks this week went in the wrong direction. Where do things stand between you and Canada Post right now? Are you farther apart than ever?
Well, we don't know. We gave a proposal to Canada Post on Monday. We're still waiting for a response. They said it was going to cost $2.9 billion, but when we asked the special mediator to actually provide us the documentation, they said they were still working on the costing. So we're hoping that they would have come back to us. It's Friday today. They had it since Monday.
Do you think there's a possibility that a deal could be reached before the end of the year?
A deal can be reached because we are willing to go back to the bargaining table at any time. We've been there the entire time. We've lowered our wages that we were asking for. We're also working with them on how to get a weekend delivery, which they already had, but they wanted to create a low wage, gigafied workplace. For us, we were fighting for fair wages, for improved health and safety, to retire with dignity, and expansion of the public post office. Through many rounds of bargaining with government intervention, these things have been left on the table. And we all know the best way to negotiate contracts is to have both parties at the table, both experts at the table, to negotiate these collective agreements. What the minister has done now, it's going to probably allow Canada Post to sit back and do nothing.
What are your thoughts on the inquiry that McKinnon mentioned into labor relations at Canada Post? Do you have high hopes for something like that?
Well, the minister has allowed Canada Post to try to achieve what they could not achieve through bargaining or through an arbitrated process. So for us, it's disappointing to see what the minister chose to do. But CUPW members are still on picket lines across this country because our right to strike should be maintained. And this inquiry, which he is calling a one-off, is a problem. You just cannot create processes whenever there's a problem. You need to deal with Canada Post and tell them to get back to the bargaining table. They've had a proposal since Monday. Like, what's taken them so long to get a response to our offer?
Mm-hmm. He used the word impasse. Is that what is happening right now?
He also used the word timeout. We're not children. We're adults who are at a bargaining table trying to negotiate collective agreements for 55,000 workers across this country.
All right. We will have to leave it there. That's our time. Jan, thank you very much for being here, as always.
Thank you very much for having me today.